Public announcement before we get started. In case you didn't know, I actually do a podcast on Saturday afternoons with my colleague Caradog. There's a link in the description down below to the Adamant IT2 channel, and that's where the podcast takes place. So if you're interested in that, check it out. And also, for those of you who don't know, I play games on Twitch on Thursday and Sunday evenings, UK time. I'll put a link in the description down below to that as well, just in case you want to hear more of my voice. Not sure why, but here we are. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a grubby looking MacBook Air here that's grubby. It's very grubby and it's been beaten up as well. It's got some pretty bent corners on this. It's definitely taken a tumble at some point. And it does not turn on. We do have a light on the charger, got an orange light, but it does not switch on when I try to turn it on. So let's get the back cover off of this thing and we'll do some basic measurements and see what I'm up against. I've not done any preliminary looking at this. I've not even found my screwdriver. There it is. Ooh, okay. There is the customary amount of dust. There is no tide marks in the dust. That's honest dust, so no visible liquid damage there. And can I see any serious corrosion or stuff that's exploded? Not really. There is a lot of dust here, though. I mean, dust on its own doesn't stop something from working, but it can harbour moisture and stuff like that. You can get sort of grot and corrosion that has built up in dust where it's just holding the damp against the board. However, let's try and turn it on and just see what our measurements are. Okay, black probe on a screw hole for ground. I'm going to go straight over to the PP-Bus G3 hot fuse. I'll give you guys a better view when we get into it, which is over here. Oh, was that me slipping off? Yep. And we've got 8.6 volts there. So that means we've got PP-Bus G3 hot and the SMC is running. If that was down at like 8.4, that means the SMC isn't on. 8.6 means that the rail is high and the SMC is running. So that also means we've got PP3V42 because we need that for the SMC to work and we need it for the green light. I'll poke that just for good measure. But for posterity, there's PP3V42, so 3.42 volts-ish. No problem. Very well. So, no obvious signs of issues there. I'm going to disconnect the bridge cable. If some of the signals on this guy get pulled low, then that can cause the laptop to not turn on. I'll also disconnect the battery. Plug this in again. So there'll be no... Oh, there is a light on the charger. Okay, fine. I'm surprised... Not sure why we're getting a light on the charger there, because the one-wire circuit isn't connected without that cable. Also, that's not changed the behavior of the laptop, so that doesn't mean anything anyway. Fine. Okay. So... what I shall do now, I will take the board out of the laptop and we'll see if we can see if there's anything visible on the back that would lead me to believe that there's a fault. So let's keep digging. Shiny bit there. I think that's just some oil that's come out of the fan motor. Right, more dust on the bottom. Again, it's dusty, but that doesn't look very good though. Let's get the microscope on that so I can just show you what I've spotted. What happened there? Are you shorted? Right, what is this first? I should know this off by heart, but I don't because I'm bad. I'm going to open up Flex Board View, courtesy of Paul Daniels. This board is an 820-00165. Very, very common board. And that chip is the U7600. 1V05SO. Let's search for that in the schematic. 1V05SO, that's memory? I can't remember what that does. However, it's an SO rail, so if this doesn't work, that would explain why the laptop is getting to an S5 state and we have the standby rails, but not reaching main power on. Let's see if that's shorted. This could be nothing, but let's find out. So I shall go into resistance mode. And I shall check. One side will be ground. That's ground. And the other side should not be ground. Ooh, 330 ohms. Well, it's not shorted, but that's not exactly very high either. However, this is a 1 volt rail, so dunno. I'm going to give that a bit... Well, let's plug the board in first and make sure it's still dead. Then I might just give that a bit of brushy, or even just take that cap off the board and just take a complete pot shot at that. What else have we got here while I'm searching? Let's do a quick tour of the board at the weird bits. So again, just lots of grot everywhere, but again, this... No, that's fine. But again, you can see how this dust and grot could hold nasty stuff on the board and cause an issue. That's really weird that there's just a bit of spot. You know, like, this isn't an electrolytic capacitor. This is ceramic. So maybe just a tiny spot of liquid has gotten there and just stuck there. I don't know. It could be nothing. There's our SMC. Dusty, but okay. There's not a lot to see here, I don't think. And top side of the board, yeah, there's nothing I care about up here. Except a lot of power stuff. Very well. Okay, I shall plug it in. So the reason why I want to plug it in straight away before I do anything else is if it turns on now, then we know that it was the act of removing the board that brought it back to life. And that means that I would then be starting to suspect the keyboard or the trackpad or something like that, something that's connected to the board. But if I start cleaning stuff up now and then it comes back to life, we won't know. There we go. That's why we check before we start fixing things. All right. It works. So I'll just put the bridge cable on as well and just make sure we get green light and stuff like that, because that will also exonerate this DC board from having any problems. There's a green light and still fan spin. Am I going to clean this thing up while I've got it? Yeah. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to brush this down and just see if it looks any nicer. If it brushes up nicely, then no problem. Whereas if it doesn't brush up nicely, I shall lob it in the ultrasonic cleaner for good measure. Right, I'm just going to unceremoniously brushy this. I'll probably do the thermal paste while I'm here for good measure. Yeah, look at that. It's all surface dust. It's fine. When you've got an ultrasonic cleaner and you've started using it in anger, it does become very tempting just to throw everything into the ultrasonic. But it's not really necessary, in my opinion. You could, I suppose, but like, this board is coming up quite clean. Except for that capacitor, but like a bit of toothbrush and some alcohol is going to sort that out. So I shall just wet the toothbrush and just go blur. As you can see, that all looks pretty clean now. Literally just a very quick brush down and it's now completely fine. Let's have a look at what's behind the trackpad. So we saw no evidence of liquid damage around the logic board or anything, but if there's liquid that gets spilled onto the palm rest, but like not a lot, there might be a little bit in the keyboard, but also there might have been a bunch onto the trackpad. No, never mind. We've got liquid sensors around here specifically to check for this. None of those have gone off. And again, there's no tide marks here, just dust. That doesn't look quite right. I wouldn't say that's enough to cause a problem. It's not quite straight. But just pull that. Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. There's your problem. Alright. Keyboard flex is fine. However, that guy, that ain't fine. Alright. Let me give you the gory close-up. We have the so there's the trackpad flex as it goes in. This is the very edge of the trackpad here where it meets the chassis of the laptop. So when liquid damage comes in, this is the first place it goes. This laptop costs £1,000. Well, not quite, but it's an Apple. You get the point. Should be better than this. Anyway, let's see. So the connector itself, that side looks absolutely fine. There's probably going to be some schmutz on the inside. There it all is. Let's see. I'm just going to attack that with the toothbrush and alcohol. Although, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the trackpad out and then attack it. There we go. Odd. Literally just there. I mean, it's possible that this was just like water and it did actually just dry out from everywhere else. But because there was a cable down there, it just trapped the liquid there so it could corrode. What's the inside of the bay look like? Well, like the rest of the laptop, it's a bit grot. That's kind of normal, that amount of grot. Yeah, it's... I mean, also just remember, this laptop itself is really filthy. And, you know, it's obviously seen, you know, splashes and drips and stuff like that. And, you know, this happens because the person who uses this laptop is either just not taking care, or, for example, sometimes situations like this is a laptop that sits in a workshop or on a kitchen counter or something like that, and it's in the splash zone, basically. Now, that's okay if that's what you use your laptop for. But if that's what you use your laptop for, then get a cover for it. Although that much being said, it's very easy for us to criticize the customer and be like, well, you should have got a keyboard cover. But if they'd gotten a keyboard cover, that still wouldn't have protected the trackpad, which would have saved it from here. So, in fact, there's no cover that I've seen that would cover the trackpad. So, to that extent, there's not really a lot they could have done. However, so that only leaves us with the idea of perhaps you shouldn't use your laptop in a splash zone because it's not designed for that. So, make of that what you want. I'm trying to be generous to the customer here because, you know, at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's a tool. You know, it's not a precious item. So, I don't know. Make of that what you will. In any case, it looks like all we need to do here is give this thing a good clean. I am going to give the trackpad some brushy, put it back in, and we'll test it and make sure that the trackpad works and the keyboard works. And if that's all good, we'll go ahead and we'll just completely detail clean the entire laptop. And that should be all we got to do on this one. For cleaning up the trackpad bay, I'm going to use window and glass cleaner. You can use alcohol for this, but window and glass cleaner will make better work of that just dirt and grime that's in there, which alcohol is less good at dealing with. Doesn't break anything down. It can loosen it up, but a little bit of soapiness is actually your friend here. So I'll go in with that and it'll actually shift the grime properly. We'll go over the whole laptop eventually, but we'll get it into a working state. You can do all of the nice cleaning up when you've got a working system. There we go. I went no guts, no glory and put everything back in there because I think it's gonna start. However, I won't put all of the screws back in the bottom because I also think the trackpad's gonna be screwed. And even if this works, I think the trackpad is gonna be weird. And I'll probably, well, I might not have to replace it. We'll find out. And then we'll clean it. I'll save the cleaning for the end of the video though, because otherwise everyone will click off as soon as they've seen what the solution was. I don't know if that actually happens. I don't look. Charger. I hear a fan spin. Bong. Okay, no bong, but we do have an Apple logo. It might have been muted the last time it was turned off. Again, friendly reminder, the rules of the chime. The chime will happen if the laptop is unmuted or the SMC has been reset. It will not chime if there is a fault, a non-critical fault, like part of the memory is not detected or a sensor error. And it will also not chime if the laptop was muted the last time it was turned off. So there are various conditions where the laptop may not chime but still switch on. Well, the trackpad is working. You can see that at the top of the screen there. The laptop was muted, that's why it didn't chime. And the keyboard seems to work. So what I think I'm going to do, anything else from here is immaterial. What I will do, we'll go ahead and we'll clean up. I'll need to get the password from the customer so I can actually do tests to ensure we're good. I could put in a different SSD, but I'm lazy and I don't have one prepared. That's something else that I should be doing, really. I should have another SSD and just plonk that in for the purposes of testing. But there it is. However, if there were any other issues, for example, if the keyboard wasn't working, we'd go ahead and replace the keyboard. If the trackpad is janky, we'd replace the trackpad. We have actually diagnosed the fault and we've got the laptop into a booting state now. So for the purposes of the video, I win. So I shall shut this down and I'll give you guys the cleaning montage and you may be on your way. There we go, folks, and that is that. So, not as bad a laptop as it looked. Definitely a good lesson for people who are getting into repair. The easy ones like this are out there. Sometimes you will have a look in, you'll go straight in with the multimeter and you'll be like, all the standby rails are there, what do I do now? Might still be an easy one. Remember, always take the board out, always take the battery out, always look. Take the cables out and check those connections because you might just find a cheeky bit of corrosion right where it matters, which is exactly what was the case with this one. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.